everybody, welcome back to We Are the Batman. I'm Mike.
And this is Matthew.
This is a great time to be a DC fan, and this is the podcast where we like to celebrate that. Today we are going to be doing our, in case you can tell by my shirt, for those watching on YouTube, we're talking absolute Superman today. It's issue number 1 finally hit, and we're going to go into it, but we're going to get into some other stuff as well as some news from James Gunn and Matt Reeves, and some poll results we have from over on Threads. By the way, if you're not following us on Threads at WTB Pod, do it, because we post polls over there, and you guys like to vote in them, and we'll get into that. But before we get into that, Matt, how you doing?
How am I doing? How are you doing? Because we always do the how am I doing, and I try to bounce it back, but then you roll into the thing. So you go first.
Into the thing. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Well, then maybe you need to ask that at the beginning from now on. I'm doing good. I mean, I've been reading a lot of comics lately. By the way, if you guys, again, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already, do that. We've been putting up these random poll shorts about just random books we've been pulling and talking about. I mean, we'll get into some of those a little bit today as well, because some of them do really deserve talking about on this show. But yeah, I've just been reading a lot of comics. Finished up Agatha All Along. Well done, MCU, by the way. Seriously, like, very rarely do the Disney Plus shows stick a landing with a season finale, and the idea of Wiccan being and the MCU's version of Firestorm with Agatha as the professor, I'm here for that. So that's how I'm feeling. How about you, man?
I've been watching Tracker. It's Justin Hartley, who was Green Arrow a long time ago.
A lot of folks are talking about that right now.
It's a friend of mine said it's Reacher light.
Mm-hmm.
So it's episodic. It's not an overarching story. So every issue he solves the thing. But Justin Hartley, since he was Green Arrow, has really kind of had a special spot. Like, I like seeing him show up. I didn't particularly care for Last of Us. This is Us.
This is Us. Yeah.
This is Us.
Last of Us is totally different. Wildly different.
This is Us. But like, he was always like, because my wife really watched that show, but every time I watch it, he was in it. So we just watched the episode last night where his brother's in it. I don't know if you know who plays his brother.
Mm-mm.
Do you want to know?
You can tell me. It's fine.
It's Jensen Ackles.
That's funny.
See them interact, it is hilarious. There was like 2 or 3 scenes I laughed so hard we had to rewind it because I was dying laughing.
Let's also not forget that Justin Hartley was Arthur Curry in the Aquaman pilot that never aired, but I think is on Max.
Have you ever watched it?
No, I haven't. Should we react to that?
I've watched it. It's pretty good. Like,
we might need to react to that. Tell you what, guys, if we can get to 100 subscribers, we will watch and react to the Aquaman pilot with Justin Hartley. How about that? So 100 subscribers on YouTube. Wow, I didn't know that. I'm scrolling through his filmography right now, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's different.
It was interesting because that pilot was shot after Aquaman appeared in Smallville.
Mm-hmm.
So Alan Richardson was supposed to be in that pilot, but then they did Justin Hartley. Then when it failed, they were like, we don't want to let this kid go. So they made him Green Arrow. Well,
and it's clear that they really had a lot of faith in them, because he also directed the episode Dominion and wrote the episode Sacrifice in that show. I do not know enough about. I didn't watch enough I stopped watching Smallville before Justin Hartley really got on there.
Yeah.
So I can't comment too much on it, but I guess he really had something going. There were talks about this guy sticking around as Green Arrow even after Smallville ended. I mean, he was one of the big takeaways.
I think that was when the Arrow show started. There was a contingent of the fan base that was like, why isn't it him?
Yeah. And granted, it was because we hadn't seen Stephen Amell yet. Stephen Amell was kind of an unknown at that point, especially to American audiences.
Yeah.
So, and we also didn't know just how much Stephen Amell was going to crush it.
And also they were rebooting everything.
Yeah.
If it had been a continuation of Smallville, of course you grab Justin Hartley.
Yeah.
But no, it's a cool show. Like I said, as much as I have been enjoying some of these other streaming service shows, I also like a thing that I can watch one episode tonight and then just go to bed, and I don't have to he's going to be the next adventure. It's what I think Moon Knight should have been. Obi-Wan should have been. Like, some of these shows, like, you should have just been episodic fun. We don't need that. That's just a movie that's too long. Anyway.
You are not wrong on some of those. I will say. What I will say, we put up some polls on Threads again. If you guys aren't following us on Threads at WATV Pod, so go over just a couple of these. One of them, we've put this one up twice now, and the results have been kind of the same each time.
Okay.
So the first one we put up was this.
Sorry, I feel like the dad at Christmas because I don't think I'm following these polls. So
no, you're not. So the first one we put up was which DCU project are people most excited for out of the four: Creature Commandos, Superman, Peacemaker, and Lanterns. 86% Superman across the board. Some votes for Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, and Lanterns, but obviously, Superman. I also put up another one about which DC project, so DC in general, that's currently in production, has a slated release date. Are you most excited for? Creature Commandos, Superman, Supergirl, or the Batman Part 2? Superman 68% of the vote. The Batman Part 2 was 16, Creature Commandos 11, Supergirl with 5. And then the last one we put up was, and we've been debating about this for a while. We're going to go into this more once the Penguin wraps. But what do you think will be the villain of the Batman Part? Or who do you think will be the villain of the Batman Part 2 in 2026? I put up the 4 that have been most rumored, which are Mr. Freeze, Penguin, Clayface, and Hush. Okay. 57% said Hush. 33% said Mr. Freeze, and 5 and 5 said Penguin and Clayface.
Now, he has specifically, Matt Reeves said something about Hush, or is everybody just
said nothing about anyone? Hush was, there was a Hush Easter egg in the Batman.
Okay.
And given the current line of comic story arcs he seems to be pulling from, Hush seems kind of likely, given the tone that we seem to be doing things dealing with scandals in Gotham and the Wayne family and things like that. So I think Hush, even for me, I'm team Hush. I think Hush is the most likely one. I think Mr. Freeze is the one everybody wants. I want Mr. Freeze. I think we're getting Hush.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of, if the timeline seems to be going the way it's going to be, this next Batman movie is going to be potentially a Die Hard, a Christmas movie.
Yeah, which is cool. I'm fine with it. So I think, again, because of the winter Christmas setting, Mr. Freeze makes sense. I mean, I get it. I don't know how we're going to work a character I don't know how. I'm curious to see what a Matt Reeves take on Mr. Freeze would look like if that's what we're getting. Clayface comes from just, he's thrown the name Clayface around. I think a lot of that stemmed from just his involvement with Caped Crusader more than anything else. And also because we know now that Clayface is going to be in Creature Commandos, apparently. So, and then I think Penguin is one that I put in the poll because we've been speculating that from the last couple episodes of the show of there's a chance Penguin might be one of the big bads of the Batman Part 2 at this point. Who knows?
Why make the show if it's not to set up the second movie?
Which is what Matt Reeves has said, that it is the bridge for the second movie. So we'll see. Look, the finale is this Sunday for the show. So we'll see.
For all we know, Blast Bash shows up, kills everybody, every cast member of the show, and he's like, "Hey, I'll be the villain."
Or Kite Man, man. This could also be the setup for the gritty Kite Man reboot we've been dying for. So thank you to everybody who voted in those polls. We put them up every once in a while when something strikes our fancy. So follow us on Threads at WATB Pod and all social media at WATB Pod. I know it's a shitty username, but it's
and if there's something you feel like we should do as a poll or ask questions about, man, drop us a comment, hit us up on the comments down here.
Speaking of the comments down there, I did want to shout out somebody I was chatting with in the comments. So we had done our react. A lot of you guys have been watching our Creature Commandos and New York Comic-Con recap videos lately. So thank you for those who have subscribed from those videos. So thank you to those who did from that. So somebody commented on our Creature Commandos trailer reaction because we had observed based on the way Rick Flag Sr., played by Frank Grillo, is depicted in Creature Commandos with wild white hair. And based on the set photos we've seen of him from filming of Superman, one of these things is not like the other. Well, at Purple Guy is here commented on our trailer reaction. He was unfortunately filming something else at the time as Superman, so he couldn't dye his hair, which is a fair argument, except when you remember that wigs exist.
Well, and I go back.
I commented back, and they were like, "Fair."
I'm on the fence about that. I mean, that dude has like 6 movies coming out right now, so I
know
that is probably, or he just was like, "I'm not doing that."
I'm just saying wigs exist.
Yeah.
Wig, and I'm not doing that when you consider like the facial prosthetics he did for the 5 seconds of Crossbones we got in Civil War. I mean, I don't know. Frank Grillo seems like the kind of guy who's willing to play ball if it's fun, you know. And I mean, and you don't sign on to something like this. Like let's wait until the movie comes out.
Maybe they blew the budget on Nathan Fillion's wig, and they couldn't have 2 wigs in one scene.
It could be, or maybe at the end of Creature Commandos, all of his hair gets burned off and he hasn't regrown it yet. I don't know. Who knows?
We'll know before then.
We'll know before then, I guess. So a couple of things. One thing I want to talk about was so we got some updates from Matt Reeves and James Gunn about some things that I just wanted to pull up and talk about. Let me scroll back and find them here. Sure. Vamp for a little bit while I find these.
No.
You son of a bitch.
You know what? Man, you put me on a spot. Now I can't.
I know. I feel like you guys said, "Oh, I found them." Okay. So these came from an interview that Matt Reeves did. I know you do. You really do. Courtesy of Interview Mag and Black Girl Nerds who shared this with me, but an interview Matt Reeves gave saying that future The Batman spinoffs will be specific character driven stories like the Penguin. You know, he said, quote, "Oz's story is Oz's story, and the idea is to do these other stories in the same way." So it seems like, and we've known that these were coming, that he's working on other spin-off character stories, because, well, similar to like James Gunn with Peacemaker, like Matt Reeves wasn't like on set, like he didn't direct any episodes of the Penguin. He was the showrunner and you know, the writer and all that, but like he didn't. So similar to how they were making Peacemaker season 2 while James Gunn was shooting Superman, I have a feeling Matt Reeves has got these other shows in production while he's been working on, and while he'll be working on the Batman Part 2, because you can leave those to a perfectly capable AD.
Well, and I think too is, given the reaction Penguin's got, you know, Warner Brothers is like, no, go make another cake. Keep cooking. That's fine.
Yeah, keep cooking. Yeah,
keep cooking.
Yeah, money talks. Money talks with Warner Brothers right now. Warner Brothers needs all the wins they can get, and so if Matt Reeves and Colin Farrell are getting truly one of the biggest wins HBO has seen since in a long time, like they, you know, it's beating their. HBO is beating Last Week Tonight with the Penguin. Like they're beating their most watched show with their other most watched show.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I said. Like, you know, hey, those ideas you had, but what is Kravitz doing? What do you have a really good idea for Catwoman? Let's
Catwoman apparently is one that's in early development, which you know, the way that movie ended with her saying she's going to fuck off to Bloodhaven. I'd love to see. There's one thing that Matt and I would like to see. It's Bloodhaven on screen. Since Titans didn't do that, they just put it in Detroit.
Bastards.
Make that make sense. So if we get more Zoe Kravitz Catwoman bridging the gap and just telling whatever we have to do, I'm here for it.
And that would make a hell of a lot more sense why Batman doesn't show up, because she's in a different city.
Let it go, Matthew. All right, the last thing I want to get into, we're going to take a little bit of a trip to the Gunn show, because James Gunn put up some information via Threads, which is that he was answering some questions, as he likes to do, about you know, like DC animated properties he's a fan of, because, you know, we're talking about Creature Commandos and DC animated stuff. And one of the ones he brought up was that he was a huge fan of Justice League: The New Frontier, and said that its magical alternate history is a big influence on DC Studios and the DCU. So we might need to go back and revisit Justice League: The New Frontier, Matthew Hasso, because
I think so.
It seems to me like that's going to be kind of our jumping off point for what this lived in DC cinematic universe looks at. I think so we might need to add that to the whiteboard, sir.
I think we should. I mean, I like the movie. I think I tried the comic.
It's a good movie.
It's different.
Yeah.
Like it is. I mean, Hal Jordan straight up brain pans a Nazi in the first 2 minutes of the show. You're like, oh, yeah, okay, this is
Nazi, so it's fine.
Yes. But when you're watching it with your kids, because they love Green Lantern from Justice League Unlimited, it's like, oh, yeah. This lantern isn't nice like the other lantern.
No. Well, and also, I mean, like your first introduction to Batman in that movie is Batman scares the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
Almost doesn't save them.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be saved by something. He has to redesign his costume because he's like, oh, I'm too scary.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And he gets a Robin. So
and he gets a Robin. All right. So I think that's all the important business stuff. Once again, guys, if you haven't checked out the random polls we've got going up on the channel, do that because we've been reading some cool stuff and we'll be putting up videos of those as we get around to them. We read the Penguins. I read the Penguin special recently. Guys, if you haven't read the Penguin special that DC put out, it's like an anthology of like, it's got like Penguin's original first appearance in there. It's got other modern take. It's got the Joker's Asylum story that I told Matt about. He hasn't read it yet, but I'm encouraging him to go read it because it's wild. The Penguin special is it's I think I pitched it to you. I was like, to me, this is them saying, here's like the cheat sheet Matt Reeves used for his version of the Penguin, because there's stuff in that book that as I'm watching the show, it's like, oh, they pulled this out of the Penguin's first appearance.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was at the comic book store yesterday picking up my copy of Absolute Superman, which we're going to talk about here in a sec. And the guy in line in front of me was getting a copy of it. And I said, you are going to love that.
Yeah. So. See, and I was going to do one for Nightwing, but I lost my issue of it. So I don't know if we can do a random pull and not have the physical book.
You actually have the physical book there, Matthew.
Well, I think what it was is I mixed everything up because I was digging through for the little intro thing you wanted me to do. And then like I went the other day, I was like, oh, I'll find it. And I'm looking, I'm like, where did it go? Anyway, quick, the new direction of Nightwing looks like it's going to be very interesting. I like it. And I was waiting to hear your take on it before I started picking it, because I have it on my poll list, but I haven't started reading it yet. So yeah, the artist, I think I've seen him somewhere else, but I haven't done the research yet. But I really like this artistic style. As much as I like the guy who was drawing it before, I've never truly been a fan of the hyper realistic look. I think that guy kind of did enough of it. Like Steve Niven, I don't like his art at all. I think it's too crisp and clean. It doesn't work for me. But this new guy, I really like his line work. I like the art. They're definitely kind of, okay, this is what Tom Taylor built. We're gonna do something with what he built and have some fun. It wasn't like cool, now we got to crap on and redo everything. So
it's kind of like when the MCU was first kicking off, and then like all the Marvel shows were like, hey, make this like look like the MCU, but slightly askewed. Like we have the MCU at home. Or kind of like when they did that Avengers game for the Marvel Avengers game, where it was that uncanny. Yeah, I get what you mean. Where it's like get as close as you can, but not so much that we get sued.
Yeah. So, but it's I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to it, because that's always the most difficult thing. Is more often than not, your creative team changes and they decide to take a hard right, and suddenly you're in a different series.
Yeah.
And this doesn't seem to be quite doing that, which is what I like.
Yeah. Well, speaking of stuff that we do like, let's go ahead and get into, I think, the main reason we're all here today, which is talk about Absolute Superman #1. Yeah, we got the same cover. This, and I am on the record as like not the biggest Superman fan. I've always had a hard time getting into Superman comics and Superman as a character because of just there's a lack of relatability, I think, with it. In some of the more I think as time has gone on, we've gotten better about that. This might be my favorite take on Superman.
I like it a lot. I mean, I think how deep are we going? Are we just kind of doing our
spoilers,
overall?
Everybody? Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Look at how cool he looks.
I mean, yeah, this is
lighting.
I know it's so hard with actual. Because we weren't sure. We thought maybe there was some artistic license taken because it's the cover, so you do whatever. Other than the fact we didn't really see the cape in the issue, I mean, all your predictions about the suit being kind of nanotechy, semi-alive were spot on.
Yeah,
I mean, he's basically Iron Man.
Iron Man / Blue Beetle, which I like.
Yeah, Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is a way of looking at it, which I dig.
Because and I think too, again, like we talked a little bit about this on the phone of like, for me, too often when you reboot Superman or you create an allegory for him, the default is let's give him different parents and make him a prick or
make him amoral.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So the fact that they were like, nah, he ain't gonna have those parents. Like, we're gonna completely redo this. We're gonna change Krypton and we're gonna drop him on Earth, probably maybe as a teenager, and we're catching up to him now as a young adult. I think we'll
see. Yeah, we're playing with time, it looks like here. Which is clearly what the whole point of the end of the book was to make you go, oh, you think you know what happened.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, it is obvious in this book he has not been raised by the Kents, but at the same time, that means do we want to go from what we've gleaned or from what's actually in the book?
So let's give a quick over. So if for some reason you haven't read the book yet and you're still here, I don't understand. But so basically, this is Superman is on Earth. We do a lot of present day and in the past flat, just like we did with Absolute Batman, just like with Absolute Wonder Woman. We see how things currently are, and then we see a little bit of an illusion as to why they're the way they are, and we go back and forth with that. This is a Superman who is an adult, kind of just wandering the Earth. I don't want to say as a nomad, but like think Bruce Banner, like as in the Incredible Hulk, just like roaming from town to town until he wears out his welcome. And but through a lot of internal monologue, we start to realize that he doesn't know as much about Earth as somebody who's been raised here since a small baby might be.
Yes.
And we find out pretty quick he wasn't raised here.
Yeah. And the thing I like about that is this kind of the thing. Yeah, look at me being nice. Like the part of Man of Steel I liked was that you did get a different perspective of this guy who, like the comics, even the original Superman movie, jump from he leaves Smallville, now he's a mid-adult.
Yeah, no, quite literally the original Dick Donner Superman movie. He goes into a time machine. He goes into the DC equivalent of DBZ's hyperbolic time chamber.
Yeah.
And ages like 10 years and goes back home. The whole thing is like, you're going to live all these years. And it's like,
what will seem like an hour to you. 12 years there on Earth.
It's
I don't know why that's my,
I love that movie, but that scene is so, it doesn't, but it's like that. And you're right. It's every Superman origin we get. It's Pa Kent dies and then he's Superman.
Yeah. So to see this where in Man of Steel, the idea of like, what did he do through his 20s? And even getting rid of the fact that he may have even gone to college. Like he's just wandering the world trying to figure out who he is and what he's doing. And I think that's what I really liked here is like, you do have this guy who does not live in Metropolis. He is going around the globe trying to save people who, from his perspective, Earth is making a lot of the same mistakes that got his father in trouble. And he's trying to help these people that are who are the grunts like his family was. Because that's the big change with this is that his family were laborers on Krypton. Krypton has a completely different class system, and his parents were at the bottom of it, which is different from the original.
I really, really got into their reimagining of Krypton in this. It was a little jarring at first, but by the end of the book, I was like, no, this is good. This is good.
I liked it because like both of his parents did something that changed their life, even though they were both talking about the same kind of thing. His dad is like, hey, we're destroying the planet. And his mom is like, hey, to save this world, we need to go to space. And both of them get shoved into the lower class system.
It seems like his parents stayed the same in this universe. The world around them changed.
Correct.
Like his parents were still brilliant scientists. It's just Krypton didn't want them to be. So they didn't get to be.
Well, I don't even know if the mom really has any kind of thing. It's always about the dad.
Well,
so to give her more is cool.
Well, in other versions, there have been like allusions that she was some kind of a scientist, like was a scientist alongside Jor-El, like that they were a family of scientists, and that they were part of like this higher, science council. The science council just didn't believe them. Yeah. This is more of a like, no, they never got their shot. So they had even less of a chance of hope. Yeah. They have even less of a chance of Krypton being. So I am.
Yeah.
And
it's going to be cool because it doesn't even, you just know the end of the book lets you know that he is a small boy when Krypton is starting to go under. He's not a baby.
Like not even a toddler. Like he's like 6 or 7. It seems like he's speaking in full sentences. Like he's walking around doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's got his faculties about him.
Yeah.
So.
And I will even put this out there. Like when you go to some of the, especially like if you go to the Donner movie, or you go to even something like Man of Steel, like there's always this computer thing, more often than not based on his dad, that is to working with him and teaching him. So the idea of having
Brainiac.
Yeah. But I mean, just my point more is like the idea of having his suit talking to him and taking care of him still tracks with a lot of what they did in the original stuff. Just he didn't carry it with him. He would go to the Fortress of Solitude and talk to it. Yeah. So I think it's a nice, cool way to change Superman, but keep him. Again, I love the tech. Superman is so low tech. Let him be super alien high tech. I like it.
Well, I have a feeling that whoever was working on this watched My Adventures with Superman.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Jason Aaron, Rafa Sandoval, and Ulysses Areola were all watching My Adventures with Superman, because there's a lot of stuff in here. It's like, oh, that's from My Adventures with Superman, almost to a T.
It's Scott Snyder when they were rebooting stuff, and then Jason Aaron's like, well, what do I do? And he goes, watch this cartoon, branch from there.
yeah. See how they kind of took everything and just went, take what they did and go, and go even more askew. Like, I also want to say, I love the fact that these Absolute books have been taking a page out of the Invincible comics with the big logo splash page followed by a post-credit scene.
Yes.
Because Invincible did that in the comics, and Invincible, the show, does that. And I love that these Absolute books are doing that, because the after logo scene, we'll call it, in this book, the couple of them that we get are telling.
Yeah.
Brainiac is.
That's who you think it is, right? That's Brainiac.
Oh, that's 1,000% Brainiac.
Yeah. With all the little cities.
Not Brainiac, all the little cities. And there's no way that's not Brainiac. And also we see, like, no, we see the Kent farm. It's like, no, guys, the Kents aren't around.
Yeah.
That's and then we see the ending involving him and his pen, where we see just how old Kal-El was at the time of Krypton dying. So it's like, hold on to your butts.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. This is the part that's embarrassing.
Okay.
I was too many pages in to realize that those were just Peacemaker.
Oh, I caught it. Are you serious? I caught it. I was like, are those Peacemaker? No, they're not. Look at them. And I just kept waiting for him to drop it. I was like, please name drop it. Please name drop it. And then when they said Peacemakers, I was like, I said it.
Yeah, I was like, that's a weird name for soldiers. And then it was like one of the latter pages.
Oh, so you still didn't get it even then?
I look at the helmet. I was like, oh, I'm the one that
smokes pot, Matt Huhasso. How am I? I got it immediately.
I was eating some delicious food while I was reading it. Okay.
I was smoking some delicious ganja. Yeah, the piece I was going to bring that up. I was like, I love that in all three of these books that we've gotten so far, they haven't just been about the lead characters. They have still taken the time to sprinkle in little DC Easter eggs of world. You know, I love world building. This is the kind of stuff that makes our good personal friend Scott Beatty very happy, is when you pay attention to the little details.
Yes.
And seeing like the peacemakers as being this like peacekeeping, like police for hire kind of thing is wild. And I'm so here for that.
Well, here's the only thing that kind of has caught me off guard.
Right.
Calling it the company Lazarus. I was leaning into, does Ra's al Ghul have something to do with that? And that's weird, since this is a Superman comic.
It is, but remember, we're also building out the absolute DC universe as a whole right now, because we have other characters coming.
Yeah.
So I think this is just, again, I think that just falls under the world building. That might be a way to get Batman and this Superman to start crossing paths.
But hold on.
You know what I mean?
Let me I'm looking down at the comic. Those who are watching the video.
Yeah, hit me. Mine's in a bag.
Okay, so here's the thing. The last picture where we're 99.5% sure that's Brainiac.
Yeah.
It says Lazarus Core R&D department. So Brainiac is at Lazarus.
What if I'm throwing something out here? Because the way we've always played with the destruction of Krypton is that, you know, they go through a wormhole. It happened a very long time ago, and space-time continuum, yada, 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 yada. Like the time between the death of Krypton and when Superman gets to Earth is a lot longer than we realize.
Yeah.
Hence why Kara Zor-El comes out as an adult.
Yes.
So what if the Lazarus pit as we know it originated from Krypton, God knows how long ago. Whenever Krypton exploded, this shit came to Earth, created the Lazarus pits on Earth, and that's how we get Ra's al Ghul, and somehow or another Brainiac is a part of that, because I don't know. I'm just saying, who the hell knows? But that'd be a fun way of doing it. That'd be different, and that's again, a great way of intertying everything.
Well, and that's where I go, like, you don't name it that and it's not linked.
No. Well, especially we keep seeing green liquids. Remember on Krypton, the green liquids that were destroying everybody.
The kryptonite lava.
The kryptonite lava. What if the kryptonite lava is also Lazarus?
We don't know.
We can do anything, because this is a world being created by Darkseid, remember? This is a universe being created by Darkseid.
Yeah, because at one point when he's fighting the Peacemakers, the suit tells him, hey, this tech is not from Earth.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. So that's not Kryptonian tech they have.
No, it's something else.
So yeah, this is one of those where, again, I'm going to reiterate this portion. So many people, when they reboot Superman, want to make him amoral with a different upbringing. I like that. No, what we're going to do is just get rid of that. He's an adult, and we're dealing with him being here as an adult. What's going to happen?
What would happen if Superman came to Earth already Superman and was like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is bad. But
he's almost Captain Planet.
he's almost Captain Planet. Yeah. What if Superman was Captain Planet? And
not the Don Cheadle version.
No. Well, and let's not forget, we've still got Absolute Flash coming. We've got Absolute Green Lantern, Absolute Martian Manhunter, 2 more titles, which we're assuming are Absolute Aquaman and Justice League.
Yes.
So all I can say is, like, the crow eating barbecue fest continues, because we were so wildly wrong with just how good these Absolute DC books were going to be. I'll say it again. I'm typically not a Superman fan, This might be one of the best Superman, like, every time we do a reinvention of Superman's origin, I get a little more excited because I'm like, yes, something different with a character. This is a cool character who just needs a little bit of a reintroduction every once in a while, I think, because it's so easy to make this character just unrelatable. And this makes him relatable to a modern world. The Absolute books are doing a really good job of folding in modern issues. Like Absolute Batman dealt with a violent school incident. Wonder Woman deals with, that one might just be straight mythology, but Superman seems to be dealing with more of a classism and climate change kind of thing.
Well, if you really kind of dive deep into Wonder Woman, it deals with controlling. I don't know if I want to go as far as saying putting down and controlling women, because remember they
it's not far off. No, it's not. I mean, the origin of the Amazon, that whole Amazon Zeus thing is rife with that. So you're not far off. You're absolutely right. It's just it's another. It's. I almost feel like it's.
Whether you want to take it as keeping women in their place, or you want to keep it as a race of people that is being controlled because they did not conform to what they wanted.
Yeah, there's a lot of different forms of control and autonomy that are being addressed in Absolute Wonder Woman that I don't think we touched on when we talked about the book, but I think you're 100% right. I don't think I caught that right off, but you're right. Yeah, there's a lot. Anyway, we are looking at, but what I appreciate is they're looking at these deeper themes in all three of these books with very deft hands. And I am able to pick up on what they are soapboxing about.
Yes.
But it doesn't feel like they're soapboxing. I don't know how to say that any more neutrally than that. I really don't. I'm trying to be as everybody play nice as possible with this. But
it's Steven Universe. Steven Universe is ultimately about tolerating alternate lifestyles, but the show is about
without being preachy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one of those shows where
without being preachy.
I think we were in the second season. I was like, oh crap, that's what this is about.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I actually think Agatha all along handled really well.
Yeah.
It was woke without being preachy. And look, I'm woke as fuck, but even I try not to be preachy about it. So I think this Absolute series has been a really great way for, and DC's been doing this across the board. Like the current run of Batman is doing this as well. It's like handling modern, and comic books have been doing this since the dawn. This is not a new thing to comic books, but like we are finally starting to see the comics get back to doing that, which is like, and the way Star Trek did, how can we address current sociopolitical issues in a way that's also entertaining and not going to be off-putting? Yeah. And I think the current writing staff at DC at large is nailing that, because a lot of the themes that Batman, Nightwing, Detective Comics, this Absolute DC run, all the other stuff I'm reading are all doing that. And at no point do I feel like I'm being like sold an ideal. I'm just being told I'm being shown the realities of these problems in an easier, much more digestible way.
Yes. Okay.
Which is what comics have always done. I realize everyone is typing away in the comments right now. You're just saying what comic books have always done. I know that. I'm just reiterating it for the idiots who don't understand that yet. And by the way, thank you for the engagement in the comments. While you're at it, please subscribe.
Now, I'm looking forward to this book. So far, we're 3 of 3 of I'm interested in the next thing. So,
I'm ready. Yeah, we don't have an update on when the number 2s for these 3 are coming, but we do know
number 2 of,
or no, I'm wrong.
Number 2 of Batman we know is coming out next week.
Number 2 of Batman is next week. The others I think we're still waiting on. And by the time this goes up, the information could have totally changed too. Guys, we're not exactly up to date on most things.
I would say they're just monthly series. So
that's what it seems like. But anyway, so Absolute Flash will be starting in March of next year. And then Green Lantern will be the week after that. And then Martian Manhunter will be, I assume, the week after that.
Yeah.
And then who knows what's coming
what
then.
the other two are.
What the other two are. I'm assuming again, Comic-Con Expo is coming up in December, which is the winter. I believe that's I think it's out of Mexico. I think. I have to double check, but I think it's out of Mexico. Assuming we don't get the Superman trailer around Thanksgiving, it's got to be coming soon. We know James Gunn's been working on it. So we figure the Superman trailer's got to be coming soon.
Well, when is the Super Bowl again? That's not till next year, right?
It's not till next year. It's not till February, March.
Okay. So if they don't do the trailer at this next thing in December, there's no way.
I was gonna say we've got Thanksgiving, Comic-Con Expo in December, and if it's neither of those two, it's Super Bowl, or it's gonna be. I don't know. I'm done trying to guess. I'm done. It could be today. It could be today. As soon as that would be the way today goes. The minute I hit publish on this episode on YouTube and on our podcast distributor, the trailer is going to drop, and we're going to have to scramble to find time to record something.
That is correct.
That being said, as soon as the trailer drops, yes, we will do a reaction to it. We are just as excited for it as everybody else.
Yes.
So, yeah. As soon as it comes. So if you haven't already, please go pick up a copy. I know it's hard right now because everything's selling out. Same with Detective Comics, sold out of its first run, already in its second print. So glad I got a copy of that when I did. Guys, I signed up for a pull list at my comic book store. If you've never done that before, now is the time, because every time DC is putting out a new book, it is selling out.
Yes.
Selling out. When I went in yesterday, and everybody was lined up asking for this, that, and the other from DC, and they were like, nope, we got in this many issues and they're gone. They're just gone. So sign up for your pull list and get the books while you can, because
they're not going to be there.
We've said it before, I almost say it every show, is the best time in the world ever in history to be a DC fan right now, because the comics are cooking like they haven't cooked in a long time. And we're about to see about to be in a whole new world of film and TV and everything else. So DC fans, it's a good time to be excited.
Heck yes.
All right. So if you guys aren't already, please make sure you're following us on all social media at WATB Pod. You can find me on social media at Mr. Mike Shea.
You can find me on Twitter at Mr. J Ninja. And
that is going to do it for this episode of We Are the Batman. We'll see you guys again next time. Same bad time, same bad podcast channel.
Bye-bye.